is actually wavelength, which is the distance between each crest of the wave. Wavelength is detected by our eyes, which send signals to the brain that are interpreted as colors.
Plate for the production of proteins. It needs to be processed. This involves removing and adding sections of RNA. The messenger...
Implementing a stream restoration project, it is important to distinguish between watershed scales of water transport, that's hydrology, and reach scale relationships that describe
forward. Okay, so I want to make a circle first because I want these to be rotational joints. I want them to be able to move and rotate. So let's just give this a shape that is...
Times 2 to the 4th, that's equal to 2 to the 7th. And that makes sense because 2 cubed times 2 to the 4th means I multiply 2 by itself 3 times.
Fossilized articulates and inarticulates respectively. And at first glance you might think that these look like mollusks, but there's an easy way to tell the difference between brachiopod shells and mollusk shells. So on this...
The end of the Devonian was a period of dramatic changes. There were 2 mass extinction events, one at 374 million years ago,
and dropped off dramatically. And so as we study environmental science, we'll deal with very important figures, but I wanted to begin with a very important figure named Rachel Carson. And she really brought us into the modern age of
methane. But no one's exactly sure where that gas is coming from, how pockets of it are forming, or where the next one will be. One explanation is this is all the result of melting methane hydrates, which
would experience the same solar insolation. Solar insolation is the amount of heat energy from the sun, or solar radiation, that hits an area. But because Earth is a sphere, solar energy from the sun hits different parts of the globe at different angles.
Science documentary. The star of the movies are the raptors. Here is an actual skull of an adult velociraptor. The filmmakers decided that it looked too puny and they needed something big.
Slightly larger pieces have temporarily disabled satellites and cracked station windows. This means that our engineers are constantly trying to find better forms of shielding. Let's leave the museum and head to the front line.
Once we had a C compiler for the new hardware. So much software has been written in C over the past 40 years that there's a very good chance that much of the software that you use every day was
of Earth's structure, from the molten iron core to the beautiful minerals we find on its surface. Much of what geologists study transpired over incredibly long...
That cold front, and then when we zoom in closer, where we get all the precipitation, what's going to happen here is you've got this air coming down from the north, and this air kind of going towards the north and east.
It flew too slow to stand a chance against the latest generation of Soviet interceptors. The supersonic B-58 could fly just as fast as any interceptor, but had limited range and payload.
Kind of was guaranteed that they would obtain a certain solution if they used a particular algorithm or model. Deep neural networks move away from that paradigm.
Processing machine in discrete steps of time. The duration of these steps are limited by the speed at which logic states can be physically changed as information propagates throughout the underlying logic gate network.
Single-celled. And at some point, it engulfed another single-celled organism and started using it as an energy supply. As a result, mitochondria today still have their own, if very short, genomes. This is your mitochondrial DNA, or mtDNA.
Community outreach coordinator and educator. There are so many different types of things that you can do within the government that relate back to ecology. And that's the first thing that I want to point out, that there is a map.
I have some answers, but unfortunately, there aren't many answers in the back of the book. There are so few answers I can actually show you all of them. Look, selected answers to exercises, and then we have a little bit more here.